Wednesday edition Pro Football Talk Live. Peter King, Chris Sims, Mike Florio here with you. And it's time for a little what's more likely. If you're watching on TV, you see the draft order there. There's the top 10. And the first topic for what's more likely is based on the top 10. Specifically this. What is more likely? 3 quarterbacks get drafted in the top 10 this year, or 4 receivers go in the first round? Chris, you're first.
Well, okay. I mean, this one, I want to say this. I mean, both, I think, are extremely likely here. Like, I think there's, like, almost a slam dunk. 4 wide receivers are going in the first round, at least. I mean, you might have made it 6, and I still would have said that. And the quarterback thing, yeah, I'm definitely – all right, so if I'm going to say what's more likely at this point, I guess I'll give 3 quarterbacks get drafted in the – no, I'm not. I'm going to say 4 wide receivers go in the first round. I think that 3 –
You sure you don't want to change your mind again?
Yeah, I'm good.
That was a hell of a pivot.
It was.
Mid-sentence.
Mid-sentence. Because I'm not going to say Herbert and Jordan Love are definitely going to make it to the top 10 yet. I don't know. And again, like I said, I haven't evaluated. I know it's a slam dunk. There's 4 receivers going in the first round. I don't even need to study them at this point. Just from what I've seen on TV and at the Combine, 4 are going in the first round.
I do not think 4 receivers will get picked in the first round. I think it'll be less than 4.
Whoa.
Because if you look at a position group that might be the best ever at wide receiver, last year was one of the best ever. And last year what happened was the first 2 wide receivers picked went 25 and 32. So there were no wide receivers picked in the first 24 picks. And the reason is because receiver-needy teams all said, we'll get Terry McLaurin down the road. We'll get DK Metcalf down the road. We'll get Deebo Samuel down the road. And they all did. And that, I think, and look, I would not bet a dime on this. It's just that if you ask me how many receivers are going in the first round, I would say less than 4. Just because I think all of these teams are going to say, I can get a receiver with a low first-round grade with the 58th pick in the draft just because there's so many of them. And, by the way, I do think there will be 3 receivers picked in the top 10.
3 quarterbacks.
And I'm going to agree with Peter on this.
Sorry, 3 quarterbacks.
I'm going to. Here's the tiebreaker for me. If this new CBA goes through, they are changing the formula for fifth-year options. Under the current formula, if you're a top 10 quarterback in the draft, your fifth-year option is ridiculously high in comparison to what it would be if you are 11 through 32. That's going to go away. It's going to be driven by performance, playing time, not draft position for the fifth-year option. So there's no longer a penalty for a team that takes a quarterback top 10. I think that makes it even more likely somebody swoops into the top 10 to get whoever's left. If it's Justin Herbert that is left over after Joe Burrow and Tua go, then I think that it is more likely, if the new CBA goes through, and I think it will, that there'll be 3 in the top 10. All right, what's more likely? A quarterback-needy team overpays a quarterback in free agency or reaches too high for a quarterback in the draft?
This is me here. I'm up here. Or is this Peter here?
Go.
Chris, you go.
Just go.
Okay,
You go.
well, I'm going to say...
me go?
I'm going to say a
Chris.
QB-needy team overpays a QB in free agency. And I don't know who that's going to be exactly, whether that's Phillip Rivers or something like that. But out of those 2, if you made me choose, yeah, I mean, even Teddy Bridgewater, I could see him getting overpaid on the market by some margin. The other one, QBs and reaching too high for one in the draft, I don't know. I just, again, it's hard for me. It's early on here in the process. And the 4 guys we're talking about in the first round, I think are legitimate, big-time, top of the first round quarterbacks from my early look here. So, I have a hard time saying that anything's going to be reaching too high for those guys.
I think a team will potentially reach for a quarterback more than they'll overpay a quarterback. Now, if you said to me right now that Teddy Bridgewater is going to get $25 million a year in Tampa, would you say that that's overpaying?
Yes, I would, but I don't know.
Say,
I know that's a good conversation.
Well,
you're right.
Okay, but I guess what I'm saying is that it's all monopoly money anyway. So if you make Teddy Bridgewater, and I don't know, what would that make him, the 10th highest paid quarterback in football? I don't know. Mike, you would know this better than I would. But I'm just going to make this one point about paying veteran quarterbacks. What team do we look at right now and think, well, they're gonna go out and get a veteran because they're not altogether happy with what they have, and they're gonna go get a guy. So, and they've got a lot of cap room. It's the Indianapolis Colts. They got $88 million in cap room. So you say, oh, well, they'll pay Phillip Rivers 28 or 30 million. I think that is very, very faulty logic. And I'll tell you why. If you look at the history right now of Chris Ballard, it's a short history in Indianapolis. He does not go over the top spending on free agents or spending on guys who aren't on his team. That's why, to me, I think if Phillip Rivers says, I need 26 or 28 million to walk a year to walk in your building, I don't think they're going to do that. Why are they right now being paired in some quarters with Nick Foles? Because Nick Foles is the next 2 years makes 30 million. And then he's a very light cap hit if they cut him after 2 years. So I think it is more realistic to suggest that the Indianapolis Colts, with the most money for any team chasing a quarterback, are going to be more conservative in that quarterback chase financially.
And back to the point of whether or not a quarterback-needy team is going to overpay in free agency, let's just consider the history of free agency, right? In free agency, out of the gates, somebody always overpays for the players with name recognition because there are owners out there that aren't motivated simply by winning football games. They want to win a press conference. They want to sell tickets. They want to create excitement. We see it every year. It's why the first 5 or 6 days of free agency result in teams spending way too much. So this year, we've got more quarterbacks in the pool than we've ever had before. So the logic here for me is pretty simple. We always see overpaying of players early in free agency. We've got more quarterbacks than ever before. Yes, somebody's going to overpay a quarterback in free agency because this is the year to do it because there's more than we've ever seen before. All right, let's move on to the next topic. More likely to sign a bigger contract, Shaq Barrett or Yannick Ngakoue? Chris Sims, you go first.
Well, I'm going to go Yannick Ngakoue here. I mean, this is a close one. Barrett, though, a little bit of man of the moment. I would be afraid a little bit to throw out huge guaranteed signing bonus type money with Shaquille Barrett. Again, this has been a really good player, even when he was a backup for the Denver Broncos. Okay, he got stuck, behind some really good players there early on in his career, then had a little injury and had to deal with issues like that. But still, it's only 1 year of true domination on the field. So Yannick Ngakoue has really shown it since his rookie year that he's capable of being a top-tier, off-the-edge pass rusher. His stats, results, disruption, they're right up there, if not better than the guy that we've talked about already with Dexter. Not Dexter. What's the hell is the DN for the Dallas Cowboys who got $100 million last year?
DeMarcus Lawrence.
Yes, he's every bit in that class, if not better. So that's where I look at it and think he gets a huge payday and outdoes Shaquille Barrett.
The other reason why Chris, and I think Chris is right, I would say Ngakoue, and it's not just because Shaq Barrett's a one-hit wonder. It is because I think Yannick Ngakoue is more suited to play in different spots on the line than Shaq Barrett is. He's a pure edge guy, and Ngakoue can also play different spots on the line. I think his versatility and long-term track record gets him more money.
Here's a dynamic that we need to consider, though, in this regard. Both guys are going to get tagged, most likely.
Right.
Shaq Barrett is more likely to sign with the team that he's with. So the contract the Buccaneers give to Shaq Barrett is going to be fundamentally different than the tag and trade that could be looming for Yannick Ngakoue. So if you have to give up a 1 and a 2 like the Chiefs gave up to get Frank Clark from the Seahawks, that reduces the amount of total dollars that you're going to pay. Not that it hurt Khalil Mack a couple of years ago, but, if the Bears didn't have to give up all those draft picks for Mack, how much more money would they have given him? So my point is, Barrett isn't encumbered by the draft pick obligation and could get more money even if he stays in Tampa because they already have him and they're going to keep him. But I agree, Yannick Ngakoue is more established, 37.5 sacks in 4 years. He should get the better contract. Maybe he ultimately will, but whoever acquires him from the Jaguars is going to have to give up those picks. All right, one more. Who's more likely to lead the league in sacks or lead the sacking leagues next year, Shaquille Barrett or Jadeveon Clowney?
I'm going to go Shaquille Barrett here, but that, to me it means Jack Diddley. Who cares? Who gives a damn? I mean, Jadeveon Clowney is the king of disruption. You know, sacks are not his game. We know that. He's never going to be a guy that's like 12 to 14 sacks. And that's what's crazy about the Jadeveon Clowney conversation right now. He's arguably the number one player in free agency. You could argue he's the best player out there. But there are long-term health concerns with Jadeveon Clowney, always dealing with a knee issue, always banged up. I mean, we know he had microfracture surgery early on. It's bone on bone. How much longer can he last? That's what's really intriguing about that. So Barrett will get more sacks, but listen, he's not in Jadeveon Clowney's class as far as disruption to me quite yet.
Yeah, this is a tough one because at his peak, Clowney is so good, but he's missed, 21, 22 games so far in his career due to injury. It's hard to pay. And this was, Mike, I have to tell you, I had a list of about 15 free agents. And when I would run into a general manager, I would go through my mental Rolodex. What do you think this guy gets? What does Joe Tooney get? What does Clowney get? All that. And 2 or 3 different guys said, well, I don't know if I want to pay Clowney. Not their team. Just if you're a general manager, I don't know if I want to pay Clowney. Because what exactly are you getting? It's not to the level of A.J. Green, but he's been hurt a lot. He's missed time. I'd rather have Barrett.
Yeah, here's the thing about Clowney. And, Chris, I'm disappointed. You talked about his disruption without mentioning your pending statistic. We're trying to get the Elias Sports Bureau to make it an official stat, F up the play. It's not sacking the quarterback. It is completely destroying the line of scrimmage, throwing the offensive lineman into the quarterback's legs, and just keeping the offense from doing what it wants to do. And when Clowney is healthy, that game against the 49ers Monday night last season was, I think, his best game ever.
Yes.
He was disruptive. He was chaotic. And then he had the sports hernia the rest of the year. That's the perfect microcosm of his career. Great game, and then he's hurt the rest of the year. But somebody's going to get infatuated by watching the Jadeveon Clowney film and charting all the times he screws the play up. And somebody's going to pay him. And somebody's going to hope that they can keep him healthy because they know when he is healthy, guys, that's when they can have a real difference maker on the field. All right, we got to take a break. We're going to talk when we return about the decision of the Jaguars to make a trade of A.J. Bouye. Peter King mentioned Nick Foles. Could he be the next one out of Jacksonville? We'll talk about that next here on PFT Live.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.